Greetings, Stormwater members. I'm Jessa, the Stormwater Coordinator at NES. I'm here today to talk about sampling. It's a bright sunny day, so normally I wouldn't even be thinking about sampling, except I am, because planning ahead is the key to successful sampling. First, I'm going to check my SWIP binder. This has all the information I need. Section L is going to tell you where you need to sample and how often. Looks like we have one sampling point in the parking lot in the front of our building, and it looks like we need to sample twice per year. That's once in the first half and once in the second half of the water year. This varies depending on your permit, so check your SWIP to see how often and how many drains you need to sample. Let's see, do I have any samples this half of the water year? It looks like I don't, so I'm going to need to sample one drain this half of the water year. I don't think I have any sampling kits, so I'm going to call or email NES to ask for a sampling kit. Usually takes 2 weeks to arrive. Now, I'm going to think ahead about safety. Since I'm going to be sampling in my parking lot, I'm going to want to be visible. I have a high-vis vest. I've got some traffic cones. Facilities need to supply their own pH supplies, whether you're doing paper strips or a calibrated meter. Meet me in the supply room to take a look at pH supplies. Alright, I've come to the supply room to make sure I have the pH supplies I need and some safety equipment. I've got some gloves. You'll also have gloves in your kit, but if you're using a pH meter, you're going to want some gloves while you work with your pH meter also. Oh look, and some safety glasses. Again, if I'm using a pH meter, I'm going to want to use my safety glasses, and also I want to make sure my safety glasses are ready because your sampling kits contain acid in some of the bottles as a preservative. If your facility is in baseline for pH, you can do it the easy way with pH paper. I know Jason has bought these recently, and these are kind of old, so I'm probably just going to set those aside. pH paper strips ready to go. If my facility is in level 1 or level 2 for pH, I'm going to need a calibrated meter. If it's been some time since you've used your calibrated meter or it's your first time, definitely familiarize yourself with your meter. Make sure it turns on, has enough batteries, all that good stuff. Check out the instructions. And you're also going to need a set of calibration solution, also known as buffer solution. Most good sets come with a 4, a 7, and a 10. Your instructions will provide more detailed guidance for this. Now that I've checked on all my supplies, I'm going to go outside and look at my drains and make sure they're ready for sampling. Here we are outside NES headquarters to show you guys how to sample using our very own drain. It's still my nice sunny day, and I'm preparing ahead to sample by checking out my drain. Lots of drains are in parking lots, so I'm going to put out some cones for traffic safety. Now, let's take a look at this drain. It looks like the lid does come off, but it's quite heavy, so I'm going to have to recruit a buddy to help me lift it. If the lid did not come off, I would be thinking about sheet flow sampling. If you have to do sheet flow sampling, give us a call and we'll walk you through what you need to do. Luckily, I think once we get this grate off, I'm going to be able to get my sample bottles right in the flow in the drain. Alright, it's been about 2 weeks since I ordered my sampling kit and it has arrived. Instead of just setting it on a shelf and waiting for sampling time, I'm going to deal with it as soon as I get it. You're definitely going to want to open your kits as soon as you get them. The lab packs these in a cooler. On top we've got gloves. The lab provides gloves for sampling. And our paperwork. This is a great time to check my paperwork, make sure it's complete. I've got a stormwater sampling and guidance document. This should answer most of your questions, but of course, if you have any more questions, feel free to give us a call. I've got my sampling event visual observation form. This is where in the middle you put your pH, which is very important. It's also got date and time, drainage location, Time the discharge began. When did the water start going into your drain? And a checkup for your best management practices. Did you need to clean out or update any of them when you went to sample? This is for sampling day. And the chain of custody. This is the tracking sheet that goes everywhere with the samples. This is where you tell the lab what you're giving them. You're going to want to put your facility name and location in this project area. You're going to want to sign relinquished by when you pack up this kit. And almost everything else should be pretty much filled out for you. Now, in the kit, we've got some bottles. This kit is the very most basic kit. Everyone will have at least these bottles. They all look intact. They have labels. These glass bottles have bubble wrap. Nice and intact. Depending on your permit and your industrial activities, you may have additional bottles. And perhaps the most important part, ice packs. This is why you want to open your kit as soon as you get it, so you can freeze your ice packs ahead of time. Now I've got my ice packs freezing, and I'm going to keep an eye on the weather to see when it's going to start to rain at my facility. You can use weather.gov, the NOAA Weather Radar app, or your favorite weather tracking service. In the meantime, I've got everything packed back up, and I'm going to save this box because this is the same box I'm going to use to send my sample to the lab. All right, we came out to sample, and last time when we took a look at our drain in our planning ahead segment, we realized that we were going to need some strong people and some tools to get this cover off this storm drain. Your drain will be different, so the idea is just plan ahead, be very safe, make sure you're using all appropriate safety precautions, and thinking about what tools you might need to get the lid off your drain, if it's even possible. If you can't get the lid off your drain, there is a sheet flow sampling method that we will cover in an upcoming video. These are some of the tools that we determined we were going to need for our drain to get the lid off here, along with some strong people. So we'll do that part and then come back. All right, so I've already washed my hands. I'm gonna get on my gloves. These can be tricky to get on if your hands are wet. Now, I'm gonna do pH first. I'm gonna keep my strips dry in a little bag. And I'm gonna stick my strip directly into the flow. Just enough to get it wet. And I'm gonna read it, give it a couple seconds, but almost immediately. So, I compare my pH strip to my color chart. This looks like a 6 to me. So I'm going to note that and do my paperwork inside. And bottles. So we open our bottle, and you know what? I think I'm going to mark my bottle before I get it all wet. I'm just going to say client NES, sample ID drain 1, date and time, and sampler. I'm going to keep a good hold of the lid and stick it right in the flow. All right, now I'm going to want to fill the bottle almost all the way full without overflowing. Make sure the cap's on nice and tight. Put my facility name, sample ID drain 1, date, initials. Now, these are the bottles that have acid, so it's very important not to overflow so that you don't dilute the acid. I'm gonna put my lid in my container and keep a good hold of these because they do get very slippery. All right, it can be a little hard to see the water level through the amber glass, but if you look closely, you can probably see it. I've got it almost all the way to the top without overflowing. I'm gonna get my lid on. I got my lid on nice and secure. I'm gonna put my glass back in my bubble wrap. And the amber glass has 2 duplicate bottles. We want to fill all the bottles from a single kit at a single drain. Again, my facility name. Sample ID is what drain you're at, drain 1. Date and initials. Save my cap, keep a good grip. All right, and we're almost to the top. We have not overflowed. Securing the cap nice and tight. Glass goes in bubble wrap. While I'm out here sampling, I'm also making observations that I'll put down on my sampling event visual observation form. When we first took the cover off the drain, I noticed an oily sheen in the water down there. So I'm gonna take a look upslope and see where that might be coming from. Is it a leak or a spill? Is it something I can clean up? I'm gonna make note of all that. Also, your small clear plastic bottle is a good bottle to make observations on. Looks pretty clear, not cloudy. There is sediment at the bottom. And take a little smell. Smells clean, no noticeable odors. I'll make note of all that. And now you can meet me inside for paperwork. All right, we're back inside and now it's paperwork time. I'm gonna start with my sampling event visual observation form. I'm gonna write my name, my title, my company or facility name, the full address, the date and time that I sampled, the drainage location, I would say drain 1, front of the building, parking lot, the time the discharge began, according to the weather that I looked up this morning, my field pH measurement, 6, or whatever you got on your test, and abnormal conditions and BMP deficiencies observed. I'm gonna say yes and describe an oily sheen, and I'm gonna list date and action. Today's date, we went upslope, found a little oil spill on the ground and cleaned it up. I'm gonna make a photocopy of this form so I can keep one in my on-site SWIP binder and put the other one in the box to go to the lab. Then I'm gonna fill out my chain of custody. Under project, I'm gonna put my facility name. Under sampler name, I'm gonna put my name. Under sample description, I'm gonna say drain 1, front of building, the date and time again. And the analyses have been filled out for you. Don't worry about any of this other stuff. It's for the lab's other projects. And down at the bottom, under relinquished by, I'm gonna print and sign my name because I'm relinquishing these samples. If you need help with any of this, you can always call us. And also you've got the stormwater sampling guidance document, which has examples of these forms completed and a lot of other good information. I'm going to put one copy of the visual observation and the chain of custody together in the plastic bag that they came in so I can send them to the lab nice and dry. And I'm gonna pack my bottles back up in the box and cooler that they came in. I've got my glass and bubble wrap. I use my ice packs to kind of pad in between bottles and take up all the loose space. Make sure I have all my bottles in there. Everything is nice and snug. Paperwork on top. Cooler lid. And now I also would have had a return label that came with the paperwork in the kit. We pre-fill these return labels for you. They are FedEx Express because this sample needs to be overnighted, priority overnight, FedEx Express to the lab. I think taping might be the hardest part. Okay, I put a few layers of tape on there. I've affixed my return label, and I've double checked with my office manager to see if we have a regular FedEx Express pickup or if I need to call in one, especially for this kit, because you may have a regular ground pickup, but ground is different than express, so just really double check on that. Once I've got my express pickup scheduled, everything taped up, I can leave this with my front desk.